if you haven't played The Last of Us, then obviously, oh fuck, my phone went off with a message.
Hey guys, what is up? It's actually Ghost to You here, which you actually haven't heard before on this channel. I am now officially part of GreatnessDebates, which may not come as a big surprise to everybody, because you may have seen me in previous videos or on the live streams. But without explaining too much about myself, you probably already know who I am. So today we are going to be talking about The Last of Us 2, and actually all of us are here, me, Robin, Oscar and Callum. So this is actually a bit of an unusual one, but we're going to be talking about Last of Us 2, the likelihood of the game, following the events that we've seen recently with the leaked, the leaked account or whatever it was following the Naughty Dog employee, and we're also going to be talking about whether a second game is good for the game or good for the game series in general, and how that second game should be approached, if it is approached in a different way than the first one. So I don't know, we'll go with Oscar if you want to give your own opinion on the game, what you think of it, that sort of stuff.
So yeah, pretty much obviously today you will get this video after the announcement, but today what happened was the I think it was a character artist, I'm not actually sure,
face models,
on his LinkedIn profile pretty much said that there's going to be a Last of Us 2. Well, didn't say that specifically, but he said that he had been working on a Last of Us 2. So it's almost confirmed. I wouldn't say completely confirmed, but there's an element of it which is confirmation. I'd say it's like 90% confirmed that The Last of Us 2 will happen. But obviously the idea is whether it's good for the franchise or not. Now, in my personal opinion, I genuinely think it's not actually a good thing for the franchise at all. Which might come as might come as a surprise to some people, because people think, oh yeah, The Last of Us, of course it'll get a sequel. It sold loads of millions of copies. It was probably the highest rated PS3 game of the whole generation, and people were saying, oh yeah, The Last of Us 2, that'll definitely happen on PS4. But for me, The Last of Us felt like a single game. It felt like one game which went from start to end, and the ending was fine, and it doesn't seem like it should carry on, really, to me. They reached Tommy's what was it,
the dam.
It was a hydroelectric dam, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they'd kind of built up this area, and that was it. And I thought, they'll live and they'll live on. And then they had that kind of end scene, which they did at the Last of Us Live, whatever it was, which people said it was like Joel playing a song to Ellie, that kind of thing. And I think that is the end of it, and I don't see how it could continue in any way, shape, or form. I think that should be the end of it, and they shouldn't make a sequel. But if I had to think of ideas what they would do for a sequel, I think they should do a completely different two different completely characters. They should not have the same characters at all. Joel and Ellie had their own story. I think if they did do The Last of Us 2, which I don't think they will, they will do it, but I don't want them to do it. I think they would personally make a new two characters, pretty much similar thing, but maybe some different kind of middle ending, especially at the ending. But I have a feeling that, again, the idea will be to find a vaccine, which exactly was what the story of The Last of Us was. Obviously, we're kind of doing spoilers here, just in case you wanted to know. If you haven't played The Last of Us, then obviously, oh fuck, my phone went off with a message. Yeah, that's awkward. But yeah, obviously,
the show must go on.
Yeah, if you haven't played The Last of Us, then obviously make sure that you kind of click away from this video, because obviously we are going to spoil things. But in my personal opinion, they will probably make the same story again, just with two different characters. But in my honest opinion, they don't really want a new Last of Us. But they're probably going to make it anyway. So yeah, Callum, go ahead.
I agree with you on many of the points. I don't really want it. I think it's going to ruin the franchise as well. I can see maybe if they do something at the start when it cut and it was just 20 years straight into the future, maybe if they did something in between that time period about how Joel got to where he was, maybe. So we didn't really get a lot of information about that at all. So if we got something like that, then maybe that would be an interesting addition to the franchise, or maybe a bit more, maybe some kind of DLC based thing like we got with Left Behind, I guess. So about.
But you would lose Ellie then, though. Do you really think they're gonna make a sequel where you don't have Ellie? I doubt it.
No, because obviously she's a pivotal character. So I don't really know. But I don't really want it, to be honest. I think it's just gonna ruin the franchise. I reckon the movie of The Last of Us is gonna ruin the franchise, to be honest. I literally can't think of anything else to say because I'm a lazy bastard, so I'm going to pass it to Robin.
Thank you. Well, I guess I just...
Breaking Bad!
And I guess I just disagree with probably all of you, because I think Ghost has kind of like the same opinion as you do. But honestly, I really enjoyed The Last of Us, you know, not maybe as much as some of you did. Like, I know Oscar really loved it and stuff, but you know, I thought it was a really good game, of course.
So much that I wanked off to it.
I gave it an 8.0 in my personal review.
Man, we're so professional again. It's great. Ghost predicted it. We would go in a different direction at some point.
We were always going to go off on a tangent. Continue.
Yeah, no, but like, I mean, it was definitely one of my like top 5 games of the last generation, like no doubt. But and I've always said, you know, there's going to be a sequel. There's no doubt about that. And at the same time, I never really felt like The Last of Us should be its own thing or was its own thing. Like, yeah, I enjoyed the story, and it was definitely a story on its own, you know. But at the same time, I never felt like there couldn't be a sequel to that. Like, I definitely think that's possible, and you kind of like look at Uncharted, and each Uncharted game is its own story, and they could have, you know, they could have ended it at 1, at 2, at 3. Like, it doesn't matter really. They could just tell a different story in the same world, even with the same characters, I feel. So I'm looking forward to a sequel. You know, I think they can do that, and everybody can say, well, they're gonna like ruin the series now, and I'm just like, why would they ruin the series? I mean, it's still the same developer that's gonna do it. Naughty Dog knows how to make good games. Like, I'm sure they'll come up with something that's once again just gonna be, you know, of the same quality, if not better. So I honestly, like, I have no doubt it's gonna be a, you know, fantastic game once more. So yeah, that's kind of like my take. So go ahead, Ghost.
Right, well, I think I'm going to go with the majority here, Robin. I'm sorry, but I did think this for a while, to be fair. I thought this, well, I actually started thinking about The Last of Us 2 once I completed it for the second time in the summer of this year, and I was thinking about the second game and the likelihood of it, and I really just didn't feel as if it would be necessary. As in, with most sequels, I think the way I usually go about it is that as long as they end the series on its best game possible, I don't have a problem with them making as many sequels as they want to. This being the developer of any game, you know, any game you think of. But the problem that we find with that is that The Last of Us was so good. Like, I can't think of many games that beat The Last of Us in terms of quality, and I think...
So you don't think Naughty Dog can make a better game than that?
I think...
Of course they can. Like, have you seen the things they've made?
They can, but the likelihood of it happening is not actually all that great when you think about it. And I think it's a bit of a 50-50. I'd like to really see them give it a go and actually try to make a better game, and of course there's many different options they have with it. They can go in the time period where they skip to 20 years, as Callum said, with Joel, or they can resume it with Joel and Ellie, or they can go with a completely different set of people. The most obvious one to me is that they just continue with Joel and Ellie's personal story and have Ellie and Joel basically running away from everybody who's trying to get a hold of Ellie. I think that would probably be the majority of the game if they did go down that route, and that is actually what I feel is the most sensible for them, because Joel and Ellie being such diverse characters and characters you can actually feel connected to and actually relate to them, I guess, if you were in this situation. I don't think they can introduce any other characters. Those are the two most meaningful characters I've played in a video game for a while, and if they did go away from those characters, it would be a shame. So for me, they have to continue down that route if they do make a game like that, and if they do continue down that route, it's very hard to replicate the emotion behind the first game, and that's always something I've doubted with The Last of Us 2. And as you pointed out, Robin, Naughty Dog are a fantastic developer, probably my favourite developer, and that goes without saying because they've made that many good games, that many different sorts of games. They obviously show that they have plenty of talent in their studio, and I don't doubt that, but it just seems so unlikely that they will be able to make another good game like The Last of Us.
Yeah, but even with that said, I think like every studio, if they can make a game that is fantastic, then they can still make, you know, a different game that's maybe like slightly better as well. Like, why wouldn't they be able to do that? And I'm just like, you know, you look at the first Uncharted and that one was great. Sure, it wasn't like, you know, people look at The Last of Us kind of like as a perfect game almost, and Uncharted 1 definitely wasn't that. But you look at the difference between 1 and 2 and what they kind of like managed to do that it was so much better, and once again, you know, like blew people's minds, and that it seemed like such a step up. I think The Last of Us 2 can be just like that, to be honest. And
yeah, but thinking
especially because they have the PS4 now, so.
But Robin, like, think
You know
about
what?
it. So if you're saying that you don't think that they can make a better game, think about it. What about Uncharted 4 then? So do you think, like, off topic a bit, but do you think that they can't make that like just as good, if not better, story-wise, gameplay-wise, etc., than the last?
Well, I am saying they can make a better game than that. Yeah, so I still have I still think that Uncharted 4 can be better than any of these.
With the gameplay, the graphics, and anything other than the story, I 100% agree with you. But The Last of Us is completely based on its story, and I don't think they can make a better story.
No chance.
Well, was the story really like that great? Honestly, I don't.
It was simple.
It was moving.
But
it was moving.
It was incredibly
special about
powerful, and I'm not sure if they can continue it with having that much power. But anyway.
It was powerful because of its characters and because of the character development. But like, if you keep the same characters, you can just like tell a different story with those characters.
Yeah, but their stories have been told already. That's the point, isn't it? Like, I mean, that's what I mean by create new characters, have a different story altogether, because Joel's story has been told. Ellie's story has been told. They don't have a further story, in my opinion.
How can you say that someone Ellie hasn't got a further story? She's the one who is like immune to the virus.
Yeah, but I mean, as in
carry on for years. Joel, I understand where you're coming from with Joel, but with Ellie, she's got years ahead of her.
I just like the idea of the ending they made with The Last of Us 1, but I can see where Ross is coming with them to not having a further story. But Ellie definitely, everybody wants to know what happens to her because she's so young and has basically the cure to the disease. So they need to sort of answer those unanswered questions. But the beauty of them leaving it just to The Last of Us 1, I guess we can call it, is that they don't find a cure. That human race does, or at least we have an ending open to imagination of what happens, but at least something that is an open ending and something that we can just think about a bit more rather than just have a definite ending.
Yeah, that's true. Now it definitely had a really good story, there's no doubt about that, but I mean,
the characters were powerful throughout it.
Yeah, and for example, what if Ellie kind of she did pretty much find out and she just kind of decided not to say anything about it, but what if she does end up getting angry at Joel for the lies he kind of told her, and she does, I'm sure they can think of something that is once again going to be a good story and that might be able to outdo the first game in that, so
Naughty Dog, for God's sake.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, that I'm never going to be one of those people who says one game was so perfect so you can't do another one because that one was so good. No, you can always outperform yourself, and I think, if they manage to do that with The Last of Us 2, then everybody will be happy. So I just have no idea why there shouldn't be a sequel, but that's just me, of course. So.
But I think we should end the video soon because we're going on a bit here.
Yeah.
But what you told me about an hour ago is that the thing that was so good about Breaking Bad is that they ended it while it was good.
Yeah.
Why can't they do that with The Last of Us?
Well, because I don't even think it has reached its highest point yet. I think it can be even better. With Breaking Bad, it was they
It ended at the best
they still
point
had
possible.
5 seasons. It's not like they ended at season 1. No, they definitely went on as well. But at some point, it's just okay, now it's enough. This is same as with Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4 is definitely going to be its highest point, and maybe it's time now to just quit, with the series. But when Uncharted 1 and 2 and 3 came out, you still had the feeling that they could even outperform themselves, and I just have the same feeling with The Last of Us. So that's just my take on it. I guess we're done.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah.
Right, so pretty much that's the end of the video. We kind of want to know what you guys think about The Last of Us 2. Will it happen? What kind of story do you want to have it taken? And do you want The Last of Us 2 in the first place? So yeah, pretty much let us know in the comments, and we'll hope to see you again next time.
What's your name, RobinGaming?
That's a Robin outro, that is.